Chapter 3, Chapter 2, The Midnight Heist. Chapter 2, The Midnight Heist.
Man, it's good to be back,
Bao said cheerfully as they walked through the south gate of hometown, the sunset coloring the sky above their heads. Susie was firmly carried under his arm. The look on her face conveyed her discontent with this situation, but she had learned not to try biting them. Several mishaps along the way home had taught them to keep control of her at all times, lest all their good luck finding her so quickly go to waste.
We've only been gone for a couple weeks, you know,
Ryu pointed out, amused.
Yeah, but it's a couple weeks sleeping in the dirt.
Bao shrugged.
Don't get me wrong, I love the great outdoors, but it'll be nice to actually use those beds we're paying the rent on. Think Marth'll give us a discount since we weren't using the place. What do you think?
Ryu asked sardonically.
Yeah, probably not.
He sighed, then turned his head to bark at a young couple under a bridge in one of the currently empty canals.
Get a room, you two. Don't you have anything better to do than interfere with young love?
Ryu snarked.
I see those two making out every time I go for a walk in this city.
Bao rolled his eyes.
It gets old eventually. You know, I actually saw M on the fountain in the middle of the square once. The pointy one. What do you expect from the guy? What else is he supposed to do with a name like his, anyways? Kill his parents for naming him Honey. When he was done with that, I mean. Kill himself, too, I guess.
Leading the way down into the guild office, Bao saw that Sylvia was facing away, going through a file cabinet, and a smirk slowly grew on his face. He promptly walked over to Sylvia's desk and set Susie down on it.
Hey. Mission accomplished. Get the pig off my desk, please,
Sylvia said without looking.
If she drinks that ink, all your hard work will be wasted. Bah.
Bao snatched Susie back up quickly.
We wiped out those harpies that were hanging out on Mount Phoebe, by the way. I thought that might have been you, when they were reported in.
Sylvia glanced over now, smiling.
Would you by any chance know about an incident involving an avalanche, then? Some Menero traders are very interested in how that happened. Nope.
Bao lied cheerfully.
Must be it happened while we were looking for Susie here, since we did see it on the way back. Glad we weren't in the way of that. I'll bet.
Sylvia rolled her eyes.
Well, you might as well go on in to see the elder. I'm glad you had fun. Spending half a month out on the road is fun, now.
Ryu asked dryly as they walked past her desk.
I know you too,
she told him, smirking.
You got to beat up some harpies who totally deserved it. That's fun in your book. His book, maybe.
Bao inclined his head towards Ryu.
I'm a little less crazy. Good evening, Elder. Gentlemen.
Elder Allen glanced at them over the top of the book he was reading.
I see you were successful. Sylvia, would you please run on over to the inn and tell the Windian party the good news? Of course, sir.
Sylvia left the cellar as Bao and Ryu took their seats, setting Susie down on the floor. Apparently resigned to her captivity now, the pig began examining the office.
I heard something, about harpies,
the elder continued, steepling his hands on his desk.
Would those be the cause of the recent trouble on Mount Phoebe? We took them out on our way through.
Ryu shrugged.
It'd be nice if there was a bounty involved, but that might be too much to hope for. Come on, man.
Bao gave him a look.
Seriously? And you ask why I say to let me do the talking? I think I can, authorize about 30 zenny or so, actually.
Elder Allen took some coins from his desk and pushed them across its surface to them, smiling at Bo's startled expression.
Sometimes a, softer touch works better, boys. I'll keep it in mind,
Bao muttered, taking the money.
Come now, smile,
the elder told him cheerfully.
You did well. You got the job done and made it back in record time, as well, as removing a, dangerous hazard to travelers while you were passing through. Perhaps it's time I started saving the more difficult, assignments for you too. You're showing yourselves to be much more capable recently. Was that a compliment?
Ryu asked Bao.
I think so. Just checking. On second thought, I could, always keep saving the pet finding and medication delivering jobs for you,
Elder Allen commented to nobody in particular.
After, all, somebody's got to do them. Thank you, sir.
Ryu and Bao said in unison.
We're glad you have such faith in us. We won't let you down. That's better,
he replied with an admirably straight face.
I've got a lot to do tonight, but I think we'll want to have another meeting, again very soon, boys. Anytime, Elder,
Bao agreed, then turned his head as the office door opened again.
Oh. Hello again, Your Highness. Susie.
Mina swept past, ignoring him. The pig looked up, then squealed happily, jumping into her arms as she kneeled on the floor.
You're back. Oh, thanks Saint Eva.
Rising, she turned around, blushing.
I'm sorry, that was rude of me. You found Susie for me, and you brought her back ahead of time, too.
She paused, glancing down at the pig.
She must have spent a lot of time out in the sun. I didn't even know pigs could get sunburned.
Bao and Ryu exchanged a nervous glance, but neither commented on that.
Ahem.
Elder Allen coughed.
It does happen on occasion, Your Highness. I'll have to keep her indoors when we go back to India, then.
Mina took a pouch from her sleeve and pressed it into Bo's hands.
Here you go, 500 zeni, as promised. I'm so glad you got back in time. Our pleasure, Your Highness.
Bao tucked the pouch away, then blinked.
Wait. In time. I've been called back to India ahead of schedule, she explained. We leave tomorrow morning. Elder Allen would have had to send Susie to India if you hadn't returned today, and that might be a bit troublesome, considering there's no guild office there. We're a bit behind the times in India, I'm afraid. We'd have brought her to you.
Ryu shrugged.
We've both been there before, when we were younger. We remember the way. Oh.
Mina smiled brightly.
You've seen India before? Well, the next time you're in the neighborhood, stop by and say hello. Maybe by then, I'll have convinced father to allow a guild office in the capital. Princess.
Another blue-haired Windian, tall and lean in leather clothing, leaned her head in through the still open door.
We really should be getting back to the inn and preparing for our journey back. Oh, of course.
Mina curtsied, an impressive feat with a pig under one arm.
Thank you again, and goodbye. Goodbye, Your Highness,
Bao said, waving, and the other two made similar farewells. Once she was gone, he slumped into a chair dramatically.
Who was I kidding? She'd never go for a guy like me anyways. Who would?
Ryu wisecracked, deliberately not looking towards Sylvia's desk.
We'll get out of your hair now, then, Elder. But sometime soon. Of course.
Elder Allen nodded, returning to his paperwork.
Have a, nice evening, boys, and stay out of trouble. No promises,
Ryu joked as he walked out, purposefully leaving before Bao. He was unsurprised when his friend hung back to talk to Sylvia, but continued walking as if he hadn't noticed. Once he was in the alley outside, he leaned against a wall, looking up at the red-touched sky. Seeing something familiar up there on a rooftop, he smirked and waved. It was only a few minutes before Bao joined him, grinning like he had just found a local lord's lost wallet.
Is this my lucky day, or is this my lucky day? No way.
Ryu couldn't help grinning as well.
No way in hell. You are not going to tell me that actually worked. Sorry, wrong.
Bao raised his hands in a victory pose.
500 zeni, a connection to the Windian royal family, and I finally talked Sylvia into a date tonight? Is this my lucky day, or what? I am unstoppable. Oh, really?
Dees called down from the roofs of the building above, and Bao froze.
Tonight, hey. Thought I saw you up there,
Ryu shouted back up.
Pretty impressive, tracking us down this fast. I talked one of the watchmen into keeping an eye out and letting me know when you came back in,
she explained, jumping to a gutter and sliding down to join them.
Go on, Bao. You were saying something about luck. Tonight.
Bao squeaked.
She said only if we go tonight. She wants me to pick her up in 2 hours. Oh, really?
Dee started to raise her hand, and Bao flattened himself against a wall. After a moment, she lowered it.
Well, I guess I can't really make you pay now, then. Sylvia doesn't deserve to have you show up looking like charcoal. Looks like today is your lucky day.
Turning to Ryu, she continued.
So, should I expect you to pick me up in 2 hours too? Of course,
Ryu said, deadpan.
I'll break into the magic school so I can pick you up at your room in the girls' dorm. That's totally a good idea. It'd be the gentlemanly thing to do,
she teased.
That would make you a proper lady,
he countered.
which is the best joke I've heard all month. Can't argue that one,
she admitted.
Alright, we'll all meet up at Sylvia's place. 2 hours it is. Let's have some fun, boys. And Bao, you're paying for all our drinks. Guess I deserve that much,
Bao muttered as she walked off.
Think she'll let me off with that?
Ryu gave him a look.
Yeah, I know,
he sighed.
Come on, let's head back home so we can get ready. Whatever you say, Mr. Lucky.
Ryu chuckled, following him out of the alley. Back at their apartment building, they took the time to visit the bathhouse and wash off the traces of 2 weeks on the road. Neither of them had anything fancy to wear, of course, but they were at least able to change into fresh clothes. Bao made sure to brush his fur for the occasion, while Ryu replaced the leather thong he usually caught his hair in with a cheap silver ring as his only concession towards formality. Once they were ready, they descended the stairs and knocked on the door of Sylvia's apartment.
I see you two know how to dress for the occasion,
she said in a tone that made it impossible to tell if she was joking or not as she opened the door. It seemed she had followed the same policy as them, she looked mostly the same as she did in the office, but she had added a blue ribbon to her hair.
I suppose I should be flattered. You know us,
Bao played along.
Nothing but the best. Ignore him,
Ryu advised her.
We're all rangers here. We know that fancy is for people who can afford it. That might be the case for me and Bao,
Sylvia corrected him.
You, on the other hand, might be in trouble if you disappoint Dees. Come on, Sylvia,
Dees said cheerfully, stepping around the corner. She had changed out of the school uniform into a purple dress that slightly resembled the ones Mina wore, though much less expensive looking as well as less voluminous, with a slightly hazardous neckline.
You know me better than that. You are the only one here who bothered to get dressed up at all,
she pointed out.
Doesn't mean I expect Ryu to do the same, though.
She tossed her head.
I know him better than that. Good point. Are we going to stand around here insulting me all night, or are we going to head out to that circus?
Ryu asked, rolling his eyes.
Touchy.
Dee smirked.
A little high-strung, are we? Worried about how far you're going to get tonight? Oh, I'm not worried at all,
he retorted.
You would be cranky too, if you had to listen to this guy going on about his luck for the last 2 hours. You're just jealous because I've got the prettier girl coming with me,
Bao told him, unruffled.
No offense, Dees. He's got a point, though. We really should get going. And I really should hurt him more for that comment,
Dees muttered to Ryu, the two of them hanging back and letting Bao and Sylvia lead, out of the building and onto the streets.
Under the circumstances, though, I'll let it slide and keep him on his current tab. This time. I'd be thinking about giving him a punch or two myself, if it wasn't worth it to see Sylvia finally admitting she likes him too,
Ryu whispered back.
It's about time. She's been putting him off for a year now. Of course she did,
Dees retorted.
She can't make it too easy for him. So when are you going to find something, Hell if I know.
Ryu shrugged.
This job isn't exactly the best for picking up girls. Anyways, I could ask you the same question. Don't go writing my case about it until you have a guy. Or a girl, I guess. Girls are too high maintenance,
Dees told him.
And all the guys in the magic school avoid me. I wonder if that might have something to do with you mugging every single one of them for their lunch money,
Ryu said dryly.
In alphabetical order. It pays to be methodical,
she replied lightly as they left through the south gate, joining the stream of their fellow citizens on their way to the circus.
And to establish a reputation. That's important too. That reputation is why you can't get a date in the entire building,
Ryu pointed out.
It's a big city.
She shrugged.
I'll manage. Besides.
Grinning, she hugged him, dangling off his arm.
That's what I have you for tonight, isn't it? Stop that,
he growled.
Make me. No.
The Circus Maxi Tusk had been camped outside of hometown for the last month. A traveling company of entertainers, animals, and oddities that put on a show every night, it had been popular upon its arrival, but that had dwindled quickly. Now, the only patrons were eccentric nobility, whimsical lovebirds, or parents desperate to entertain their children. Still, for an evening out it wasn't bad, according to several other rangers who had gone already. A trail of signposts led them to the huge, striped tent, where they joined the line waiting to hand over their tickets.
Is it just me, or is dyed hair catching on recently?
Bao asked the group after giving theirs to a nervous-looking young man with bright pink locks.
10 years ago, Ryu here was the first guy I ever saw with a weird color. These days, half the people in town have blue hair, and I know they didn't have it when we moved in. Seems like we're seeing a lot of travelers with weird colors too. Don't look at me.
Dee's fingered a few of her own curls.
This is natural, and no, I don't know why any more than Ryu does. Do you suppose Princess Mina's was?
Sylvia asked curiously.
She doesn't seem like the type of girl who would dye her hair. Yeah, but you never know with royalty,
Bao said, shrugging.
They're a little strange. Good point.
Dees looked around.
Do they serve us drinks in our seats here, or do we have to get them ourselves? We should probably hit the bar before we go sit down, just to be on the safe side,
Ryu suggested.
Over that way.
Surprisingly, they had an actual counter set up against one wall of the tent. The shelves full of bottles raised even more question marks, nailed to the canvas as they seemed to be. An old man with crazy white hair sticking almost straight up manned, bustling around cheerfully as he mixed drinks and filled mugs. An odd sound to his left drew Ryu's eyes to Dee's, who was staring at him with narrowed eyes.
Something wrong?
He asked her.
Nah.
Dees shook her head, relaxing.
Mistake. I thought he was somebody I knew for a moment there. Good evening,
the old man greeted them as they walked up.
Your pleasure for the evening. Wine?
Bao asked Sylvia, who nodded.
Ale for the rest of us. Very good, sir.
The old man began filling mugs.
13 zenny, please. That's outrageous.
Bao sputtered.
A riddle, then, for double or half?
The old man asked keenly.
Sure,
Dees agreed before anybody could object.
Let's hear it. Ah.
His eyes remained on her for a moment before he continued.
Very well. What grows from the earth, even if you cut it, and continues to grow even after death?
Bo's face was wooden.
Just a moment, please.
He pulled the others away in a huddle.
Okay, we gotta figure this out, or else it's 26 zenny. It's gotta be some sort of crop, right? Like potatoes. Those grow in the earth,
Ryu pointed out.
Not from it. Maybe it's wheat. Or corn, I guess. But those don't keep growing after you kill them.
Sylvia frowned.
How about grass? A lot of it is all one plant, right? So even if you kill some of it, the rest isn't dead, and it still keeps growing. I don't know.
Ryu made a face, then paused. Dees wasn't joining in the discussion, simply listening to them and smiling.
You know the answer, don't you? I've heard this one before.
She turned back to the bartender.
It's hair, isn't it? Very good.
The old man smiled as well, putting the mugs and Sylvia's glass on the counter.
7 zenny, then. Nice to do business with you.
Bao slid the coins across the counter, and everybody took their drinks, turning away to head for the chairs.
Okay, I think I get the riddle now. Lucky break for us, you knowing that one. 13 zenny? Give me a break. Places like this are always overpriced,
Sylvia told him as they took their seats.
Did you hear about the main attraction here? Apparently, they have a grass man working for them. Those are real.
Bao blinked.
Hey. Never thought they were.
Though there were more than a dozen known animal-based clans, the world only knew of one that was plant-like, the mythical grassmen. Experts also claimed them to be the rarest intelligent species in the world, with a population that was apparently barely in the double digits.
They're real,
Dee said firmly.
I met one once, a long time ago. They're not exactly easy to mistake for anything else. You'll be able to tell if this one's real, then,
Ryu noted.
Good to know. Looks like it's starting. We came in just in time.
A tall, thin man in a glittering blue suit was walking out into the clearing the seats surrounded, a cape whirling behind him. His grey hair tumbled behind his head, elaborately curled to match his impressive mustache.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
He shouted in a ridiculously deep bass voice, quieting the chatter instantly.
And welcome to the Circus Maxi Tusk. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm MC Tusk, the proprietor of this fine entourage of performers, and I encourage you to enjoy the festivities. Before we get started, I'd like to thank Lord Trout for a very handsome donation to our cause.
He began to clap, and after a moment the audience joined in, as a decidedly round nobleman wearing bright red finery in the front row smiled coldly.
Somebody needs to have a word with Trout's wardrobe designer,
Dees muttered.
With that hair of his, he fits right in here. As a clown.
It was true, Count Trout's baldness had left only 2 tufts of curly blonde hair on the sides of his head, sticking straight up.
He probably bought his clothes at a discount,
Bao said.
He gave money to the circus? Is he sick or something? It could be part of his latest plan to upstage Duke Kilgore,
Sylvia suggested.
It won't work, of course. He never wins.
The constant contention of the 2 most wealthy nobles in the city was known to every citizen, as well as Trout's tendency to wind up with the short end of the stick. Despite that, the 2 were supposedly close friends in private.
Well, then.
Tusk continued.
Let's begin the entertainment with some of our fantastic beasts, from all across the globe. Bring in the camel.
Nobody talked much for the next few minutes, as the animal performances began. Unfortunately, the actual show fell short of expectations. Though the animals themselves were interesting, they were mostly untrained, and did nothing but walk or, in the case of the sea turtle, swim around. Following acts were just as dull, the acrobats never got more than 6 feet off the ground, the monster tamers kept their partners at arm's length the entire time, and the great mystery box turned out to contain absolutely nothing. The ringmaster seemed to expect the audience to find that hilarious, and was affronted when they responded with absolute silence.
This place is a SNOFest,
Ryu whispered to Dees as a knife thrower began puncturing stationary watermelons.
No wonder Bao got 4 tickets so easily. I've seen worse, actually,
Dees replied. She had been watching Tusk, rather than the shows, for the most part.
At least he knows what he's doing,
Ryu commented, looking at the ringmaster as well. Despite his overconfidence in his performers, Tusk's loud-mouthed commentary had been the only really interesting thing about the show, aside from when the fire breather had nearly exploded.
Shame he can't get better acts. Wonder what his connection with Trout is, though,
Dees muttered.
You don't buy Sylvia's guess either, hey?
Ryu looked at the obese count again. Trout was visibly bored, but still smiled regardless, apparently out of habit.
It seems too subtle for him. From what I've heard, Trout's plans to get the better of Kilgore are usually pretty blunt. Contributing to a circus doesn't give immediate results. It's not his style. That, and I've seen Tusk sneaking into Trout's manor at night through the back,
Dees added.
I wondered who he was. It's safe to say he wasn't burgling the place. You think something shady is going on, then?
Ryu asked.
Everybody's heard rumors about Trout, but I don't know.
Dees bit her lip.
And I don't like it when I don't know what's happening. And now, for the grand finale.
Tusk bellowed, cutting off the conversation, as a curtained wagon was brought into the ring behind him.
Our star performance, our greatest exhibit. Of all the clans in this world, none is more rare or more bizarre. Feast your eyes on the walking plant, the talking flora, the intelligent vegetable. Behold, the grass man.
The curtains drew back, and the crow dude and ahed as the grass man stood revealed behind thick iron bars. Dees had been right, there was no mistaking him for any other form of life. Though his shape was humanoid, his body seemed comprised of bright green stalks and leaves, rigid-looking and stiff. From his wrists and neck, flower-like growths formed his hands and head, the petals coloring from white at their base to a deep pink. From inside the head flower, a delicate face peeked out, its feature androgynous, with a melancholy look to them. The chains attached to his wrists and ankles probably had something to do with that.
That's a grass man, all right,
Dees muttered.
Doesn't look like he's here voluntarily, either. Figures. I'm not exactly a fan of authority, but shouldn't somebody do something about that?
Bao asked, growling under his breath.
Grassmen aren't covered under the first laws,
Sylvia explained.
Not unless they start sending a representative to the annual meeting of the World Council and Prima. Since slavery is in those, most countries don't bother coding it into their local laws. Clan laws usually don't have much to say about it either. And if the 3 laws don't cover it, there's not much anybody can do. Loopholes happen sometimes.
Her voice was bland, but the look on her face told a different story.
Shame.
Ryu shook his head.
I'd like to do something about this myself, but not if it means getting a price on my head. Wasn't that amazing?
Tusk asked as the curtains closed, and the card was taken out again.
I hope you enjoyed your evening at the Circus Maxi Tusk. We'll be here for 2 more weeks, before heading on our way to our next performance in Windia. Thank you, thank you.
He bowed flamboyantly to the polite applause, following the cart.
Well, that's the show, then.
Bao stood up, helping Sylvia to her feet.
Wasn't too shabby. Shall we? Yeah, okay.
Ryu deliberately did not offer Dees his hand, she probably would have bitten it. Instead, she grabbed it herself as she rose.
You're walking me back to the magic school like a gentleman, right?
She asked teasingly.
I'll take you to the wall,
he offered.
You're on your own after that. I know what the patrols are like. Spoil sport.
She kept the patter going as they left the tent, both of them both aware of the real reason they'd be splitting off from Bao and Sylvia once they were back in town.
Not hoping to get invited back to my room. With your roommate.
Ryu reminded her.
Somehow, I don't think so. It was worth a shot. And you say I need to keep my hormones in check?
Bao asked Sylvia dryly.
They're joking,
she pointed out.
Mostly. I'll admit, I'm unsure as to exactly how much. But that's nothing new. She's got us figured out.
Ryu sighed dramatically.
Damn. We'll have to get a new act,
Dee suggested.
Any ideas? Nope. Me either.
She echoed his sigh.
So much for that brilliant idea. You know, you two are making me look like the normal guy by comparison,
Bao pointed out, waving to the guards as they re-entered the city.
Just saying. All right, we'll let you do the gentlemanly thing or whatever, buddy. See you in a few. Don't get arrested without me keeping you in line,
Ryu shot back as he and Dee split off, heading north. Once they were out of earshot, he glanced at her.
Think he's actually got a chance. If he doesn't screw it up,
Dee said thoughtfully.
She's not a complicated girl. As long as he just keeps playing it smart, he's got a shot. He'll have to marry her eventually, of course, if he gets that far. For some reason, I just can't see Bao married,
Ryu winced.
Then again, we're all still a little young for that. I don't think she'll bring it up anytime soon. That's cute.
She winked.
That you actually think that, I mean. Oh, shut up. You wish.
Looking up at the stars, she let the humor drain from her face.
Listen, Ryu. Has anything strange been happening recently that you've noticed? I fought off a cockroach the size of a horse,
Ryu replied glibly, thinking of the statues of Laden.
Does that count? A bit odd that there would be some of those around here, but that's not what I meant.
She shook her head.
Something's been in the air recently. I don't know what it is, but something's different, and I don't think I like it. Magic stuff.
Ryu guessed.
Something like that.
She gave him a look, as if wondering how much to tell him.
I get feelings like this every now and then. They always mean something big is going to happen. And this is the strongest I've felt in a long time. Something is very wrong, Ryu. Either in this city, or in the entire world. I can't tell which. So why are you telling me?
Ryu asked bluntly.
I'm a ranger, Dees. What do you expect me to do about it? Who said I was asking you to?
She pointed out.
I'm trying to warn you, doofus. Whatever this is, it's bigger than people like us. If something starts happening that you notice, keep your head down, and make sure Bao does too. He gets enthusiastic sometimes, and that gets him in trouble if he's not careful. Boy, is that true,
Ryu agreed.
All right, I'll keep an eye out, as long as you do the same. I'm behind fortifications if trouble breaks out,
she reminded him as they reached the 10-foot wall around the magic school.
You're not. Point,
he conceded.
Be careful anyways. All right, all right.
She made a face.
I thought I was the one giving you a heads up, not the other way around. How'd that happen? Maybe I'm agreeing with you,
Ryu suggested.
You're right. I don't know what it is, and I don't know how big it is, but something's felt wrong recently. Let's just hope it blows over before the year is out. We can hope, I guess.
She smirked again, walking towards the wall.
No good night kiss. Do I look like an idiot?
Ryu rolled his eyes, turning away.
Don't answer that. Have a nice night, Dees. Same to you.
She waved as he walked off. He didn't really know how she always made it over the wall, and he didn't want to. The streets were still gradually emptying out this early in the night, and there were enough pedestrians for him not to worry about nosy guardsmen or overconfident muggers. Ryu took his time walking back home, whistling under his breath. When he returned to his apartment, he found Bao waiting for him with a couple of bottles, beaming.
"Good night kiss,"
he explained before Ryu could even ask.
"Did I tell you, or did I tell you? Lady Luck loves me today. I'll drink to that."
Ryu took a bottle, and they clinked them together.
"To luck, money, and girls. Says it all, that,"
Bao agreed, and they downed the bottles.
"Think D's had fun." "Something like that."
Ryu chuckled.
"She's still going to murder you, you know." "It was worth it."
Bao shrugged.
"We'll see if you're saying that tomorrow, when your luck runs out,"
Ryu told him. He considered bringing up her warning, but decided against it. He didn't want to ruin the mood. It could wait for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Bao tossed his bottle into their trash can, one they had stolen from a nearby alley. It looked slightly ridiculous indoors, but there was no arguing with the price.
"I'm turning in. You might as well,"
Ryu agreed. Their beds were cheap, like everything else in the room, but they beat camping out. Throwing their clothes in the corners, they were both out like lights in a matter of minutes. More. We need more power. God needs more power. Give yourself to our God. Pray to God. Praise God. Sacrifice your body and soul to God. You are destined to become God's power. As always, Ryu slept restlessly for several hours, until horns began screaming through the night sky, awakening him instantly. The first thing he noticed was that Bo's bed was empty. Shaking his head, he dressed quickly and left the apartment, more out of a desire to find out what was going on than any actual concern. That lasted up until he crossed the street and was accosted by a guardsman in blue painted armor.
"You're Ryu, right?"
the guardsman demanded.
"The ranger?" "That'd be me,"
Ryu said lazily.
"Something I can help you with?" "You can tell me where your partner is," the guard replied. "Bao, isn't it? He's wanted for burglarizing Count Trout's manor." "Hey."
Ryu forced himself to keep his face and voice calm.
"I just woke up, I'm afraid, and he wasn't in our room. Haven't seen him since. I'll keep an eye out for him, though." "You had better," the guard growled. "We've got multiple eyewitnesses of the crime, and he's pretty easy to pick out of a crowd. Trout's furious. Turning himself in's the only hope Bo's going to have." Turning abruptly, he stalked off, screaming at some other pedestrians. "Ryu." Sylvia ran over to him from the street corner, eyes wide. "Did you hear?" "Yeah." Ryu's eyes narrowed. "This is not good. You haven't seen him either, I'm guessing." "No." She looked around, obviously worried. "Oh, Ryu, what are we going to do?" "We're going to look for him, that's what," Ryu decided. "You're better with sending out messages than I am. Get word to Elder Allen, Hans, Powell, and Bud. And see if you can get D's, too. They're all trustworthy. I'll search the northeast quarter, around Trout's place." "All right." Sylvia nodded, professionalism overtaking her worry. "I'll take the northwest once I have those messages sent out. What do we tell him if we find him?" "To find any bolt hole where he can hide out until morning." Ryu glanced at the southern gate, where more guardsmen were congregating. "They won't be letting people in or out of the city tonight, but even Trout won't be able to keep that up for long. Once it settles down a bit, we can figure out somewhere he can stay long-term while we sort this out." "All right." Sylvia started to run off, then paused. "Ryu, he didn't really do it, right?" "This is Bao we're talking about." Ryu forced a chuckle. "If he had, he wouldn't have gotten caught." "True." Sylvia laughed as well, but it was visibly strained. "All right, I'll get going. Let's keep our hopes up." "Right." Heading towards the northeast quarter as he had said, Ryu began scouring the streets, carefully avoiding more of the Count's guards doing the same thing. For obvious reasons, they were especially thick around Trout's manor, but there were plenty of them on the rest of the streets as well. It soon became apparent that he was spending so much time avoiding them, he was barely getting any searching done. It was right when he had decided to give up and head back when he heard hasty footsteps from around the corner. Before he could react, somebody rounded it and slammed straight into him, both of them tumbling to the cobblestones. "Ouch! Sorry!" the young girl who had hit him hissed, flipping back to her feet with admirable agility.
In the dim light from the torches, he saw that she was a tall, skinny girl several years too young to look good wearing the tight red leather leotard she had on, along with a little too much makeup. Before he could see anything else about her, she was dashing away again, but seeing her from behind made one more thing apparent: her large, dark wings were unmistakable.
Wing Clan,
Ryu muttered.
Doesn't look like the type who would be with Mina.
He frowned, remembering the city's layout.
And she's running straight for the north gate.
Curious, he followed her, only to see about 10 guards standing at the gate, looking bored. There was no trace of this strange girl.
Hey! Did she get out? Pretty impressive.
Shrugging, he turned around and headed back home, operating on a hunch without anything to back it up. It turned out to be accurate. As soon as he opened the apartment door, he saw Bao waiting for him in their single shoddy chair.
Hey, buddy,
Bao greeted him, looking exhausted, but unwounded.
Guess you heard the news. I really did it this time, didn't I? It's starting to look like it.
Sitting down on his bed, Ryu stared at him, then sighed.
All right, I'm listening. This had better be good. First things first.
Bao closed his eyes.
I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but it's true. I didn't steal anything from Trout, okay? Even if I wanted to return what was stolen, I don't have it. I was afraid of that,
Ryu muttered.
There was no way this was going to be that simple. You believe me, then?
Bao asked, a little desperate.
Come on, man.
Ryu gave him a stern look.
We've known each other for how long? Of course I believe you. Thanks, buddy.
Bao ran a hand through the fur atop his head.
I needed to hear that. It's been one of those nights.
He took a deep breath.
All right, here's what happened. About 2 hours ago, somebody started knocking on the door. You were out like a light, so you didn't hear it, but it woke me up, so I went and answered it. Can't believe I was sleeping that hard,
Ryu muttered.
Stupid, stupid, stupid. Who was it, then? That's the crazy thing.
Bao shook his head.
There were a couple of guards, a butler-looking guy, and somebody else wearing a mantle and hood. Asked if they could come in. I said sure, and it turns out to be Duke Kilgore. I'm starting to see where this is going now,
Ryu said grimly.
Let me guess. He said he had a job for you. Yeah.
Bao made a face.
He said Trout had stolen something from him recently. An ancient artifact from the Isle of Tunlin called the Magic Hood. Apparently, Kilgore got it for 4,130 zenny. That's the same amount Trout donated to the circus. I get it.
Ryu nodded slowly.
That was just to taunt Kilgore about getting away with it. Now it makes sense. It was just part of their little game. And Kilgore wanted to make the next move,
Bao continued.
I don't know how he found out about us, but he said he had heard we were skilled, discreet, and cared more about the spirit of the law than the letter of it. I told him that was us, all right, and he told me he wanted us to steal the magic hood back from Trout for him. Taking a risk, there.
Ryu shook his head.
If Trout got away with the original theft, Kilgore doesn't have any legal basis to back you up on. And either way, breaking and entering still applies to Trout's place. I know.
Bao sighed.
But he offered me 1,000 zenny, and more work down the line. He said it didn't really count as stealing, since it was his in the first place, and I believed him. Kilgore's got a good reputation, and Trout doesn't. You know that. And my luck was running great tonight. How could I go wrong? By not waking me up, that's how.
Ryu frowned deeply.
That's what really bothers me. Not that you tried to rob Trout's house. Not that you got in over your head. Not that you've got a price on said head now. That you went to do it without me. If I had, you would be in this with me,
Bao protested, then stopped.
Okay, I know. But you suck at stealth, man. Sorry, but it's true. You always have. I figured I could make it through Trout's manor undetected, but you? No way. Except you didn't,
Ryu reminded him.
You got caught. I'm guessing it was before you even made it there, and Trout just told everybody you stole from him to get the guards all fired up over this. I wish.
Bao chuckled bitterly.
No, I was doing fine, actually. Managed to dodge the guards, get in through the servants' entrance, and everything was going fine until I actually reached Trout's storeroom. As soon as I opened the door, this weird girl runs out, slams into me, and keeps going. I look in there, and the place has been ransacked. Chests gaping open, moneybags spilled all over the floor, the whole 9 yards. Amateur work, not even cleaning up. But she got away with it, on account of a patrol hearing her and coming to check. And finding you there instead,
Ryu finished.
I guess it's pretty impressive that you managed to get away from them, considering that. The problem is, nobody's going to buy that story, even if Duke Kilgore backs us up. Exactly.
Bao put his head in his hands.
Trout will have a price on my head before dawn, and he'll spread the word across the world. I'm screwed, buddy. Not quite.
Ryu frowned.
This girl. Anything weird about her you noticed? She had wings,
Bao said after a moment's thought.
Didn't look exactly like a wing clanswoman, but it was too dark to tell why. They were real dark, too. Her wings, I mean. Why? Because she ran me down while I was looking for you,
Ryu explained, smiling grimly.
If she's the real thief, then all we have to do is catch her, and make her clear your name. Trout's an ass, but he likes it when people do things for him. If we bring the loot back, he'll drop all charges against you. That's all well and good, but what am I gonna do until then?
Bao demanded.
I can't hide out here for long, Aneep.
He fell silent as somebody rapped harshly on the door. Both of them surveyed the room quickly, and Bo's eyes fell on the trash can in the corner. There was nowhere else. With a resigned roll of his eyes, he quickly climbed in and pulled the lid on over his head as Ryu went to answer the door.
Ryu the Ranger.
The guardsman at the door growled.
I'm Sergeant Larkin, and I'm here to ask you a few questions about your partner. I take it this is related to the incident at Lord Trout's manor.
Ryu asked mildly, offering him the chair as he sat back down on his bed.
That's right.
Larkin took a seat, but continued to glare at him.
You Rangers are always keeping one toe on the line, but your buddy Bao finally stepped off of it. Lord Trout wants him, bad, and he's got the law backing him up. You had better not have anything to do with this, or else you'll be sharing a cell with him, too. I was sleeping here until after the news hit the town.
Ryu shrugged, fighting the urge to punch him.
Plenty of people in this building saw me leave the apartment. They were doing the same thing. I went out to find out what was going on, then came back here. So you say?
Larkin began glancing around the room.
Still, that doesn't stop you from helping him out now that he's in a scrape. Keep in mind that if you do, you'll still be going down with him. Lord Trout has a lot of influence in this city. Everybody with half a brain knows that.
Ryu leaned back against the wall behind his bed.
They'd know not to come back here, too. First place you boys would look. Obvious, really. Sorry, I haven't seen him. Why, you?
Larkin started to stand, then made a visible effort to control his temper.
All right, boy. But you had better not get any ideas. We'll be watching you. And now that your friend's shown himself for the dog he really is, I'm gonna be the one to bring him in. No matter where he runs, no matter where he hides, he's going down, and he'll remember for the rest of his life that it was me who brought him in. If you see Bao, you tell him I said that.
Rising, he left, slamming the door behind him.
Jackass.
Ryu snorted.
That was way too close.
Bao peeked out from the garbage can.
Good thing he didn't search the room. Yeah, but the next guy to come by here might actually know what the hell he's doing,
Ryu growled.
We need to get you out of here, now. And while we're at it, figure out where you can hide until I track that thief down. I had an idea while that dumbass was trying to scare you, actually,
Bao explained.
Old man Nero, in those ruins by Mount Phoebe. He's a good guy. He'll hide me, and nobody's gonna come looking for me down there. Perfect.
Ryu smiled.
Good thinking, buddy. Now we just need to figure out how to get you out of town. The guards will never let me just carry this thing out. They will if you've got paperwork authorizing it,
Bao said slyly.
Think Elder Allen would help you out. Any day.
Ryu stood up again.
Sylvia will have woken him up already. I'll go see him. You should probably stay in that can, just in case any more guards drop by. It's gonna take me all day at Lake Oria to wash this stench off,
Bao commented wryly.
Try not to take too long. Yeah.
Waving, Ryu left again.
Man, oh man, it is way too late for me to be rushing all over the city like this. Early. Whatever.
Muttering to himself, he ran over to the guild office, which was open, but almost deserted. To his surprise, in Elder Allen's office, he saw a familiar-looking nobleman, apparently meeting with him.
Are you Ryu?
Duke Kilgore asked, turning his head from where he was seated in front of the desk. A tall, lean man in his 60s, his back was unbowed by his years, though his hair had turned iron grey long ago. Despite the hour, he was immaculately dressed in deep blue finery.
Bo's partner? Elder Allen said you would probably be coming by soon. He was correct, Your Grace.
Ryu started to bow, but before he could, Kilgore had risen, and was clasping his shoulder.
That's not necessary, young man,
Kilgore told him quietly.
Especially considering the mistakes I've made tonight, and how much they've cost your friend. Bao told me.
Ryu relaxed a little.
He also told me why you did it. I believe him. It's not your fault, Your Grace. If only my conscience was so easily alleviated.
Kilgore sat down again, running his hands through his hair.
I've been conferring with Elder Allen about a way to solve this problem, but we're not coming up with much. Count Trout won't let this slide easily,
Elder Allen agreed, looking as if he was still half asleep.
He'd consider it a personal humiliation to do so. If the evidence wasn't so blatant, Lord Kilgore would be, able to use his own influence to quiet this down, but, as things stand. Trout wouldn't let this go, even if I offered him my entire treasury.
Kilgore shook his head grimly.
He's always been stiff-necked about his pride, and he's grown even worse over the last few years. We've got a plan, actually.
Ryu glanced at Kilgore, then at the dragon's tear. It showed green, the man was sincere.
Bao didn't get anything. Somebody else burglarized the house the same night, and she got there first.
He quickly explained what had happened, and gave them a description of the strange girl.
I see.
Elder Allen murmured once he was done.
If we catch this thief and bring her back to Trout, Bo's name will be cleared. And we'll be able to sweep the entire matter under the rug, including what Bao was doing there.
Kilgore brought his fist down on his palm.
I like it. I'll put the word out immediately, and start looking for leads. The Rangers will do the same.
Elder Allen nodded.
Officially, of course, Bao is, a wanted criminal now and we won't be, able to, assist you in your search. That just means we'll have to keep it off the record. We look after our own, first and foremost. Thank you, both of you,
Ryu said simply.
There's one more matter I'd like your help with, Elder Allen. If you could write up an order for disposing of a trash can's worth of hazardous material outside of the city wall immediately. Of course.
Elder Allen smiled, understanding instantly. Pulling some paperwork from a drawer, he filled it out quickly.
We'll say it's, an experiment gone wrong from the magic school. The headmaster owes me a favor, so if they check up on it, he'll play, along. Where will you go from there? The ruins south of Mount Phoebe,
Ryu explained.
There's one building there that's still inhabitable, barely. It's a good place to hide out. We'll send a message as soon as we have some leads for you, then,
Kilgore promised.
And I'll follow them up.
Ryu took the order from Elder Allen's hand as he held it out and rose.
I'll get out of your hair now, Your Grace. Elder. Good luck, young man.
Kilgore shook his hand firmly.
Thanks.
Ryu walked out, then stopped a moment before he would have bumped into Sylvia.
Hi. Listen. I found him,
she interrupted him.
He sent me down here to meet you. It'll be more convincing if it's both of us.
True, Ryu admitted.
All right, let's head back. I've got the paperwork. Did he tell you everything else? The whole story?
She nodded, biting her lip, as they walked back down the streets.
This is a real mess, isn't it? Believe it or not, we've dealt with worse,
Ryu told her.
This is going to suck for a while, but we'll get over it. I'll find that thief, and then we'll both be right back here again. You had better,
she said quietly.
I'm counting on you for this, Ryu.
There wasn't much he could say to that. Reaching their home, they climbed the stairs back to Ryu's apartment, and found the trash can lying on its side.
Hey, guys,
Bao said sheepishly.
Little help here? I'm kinda stuck.
Ryu and Sylvia exchanged a long stare.
We got the paperwork,
Ryu told him.
Let's go. All right,
Sylvia agreed. Each of them grabbed one end of the can, and they lifted it between them, grunting.
No cracks about my weight, okay?
Bao commented.
I've heard it all already. Hush,
Ryu said flatly.
Keep quiet until we're outside the city.
Slowly, the two of them hauled him down the stairs, and then through the streets to the south gate.
Hold it!
One of the guardmen there yelled, seeing them approach.
City's sealed, folks. We're hunting down a burglar. Nobody gets in or out until tomorrow. You can wait until then to take out the trash. Not this trash, we can't,
Sylvia disagreed, showing him the paperwork.
Something went very wrong in the lab over at the magic school, officer. Wrong enough that they hired us just to take it out of the city and get rid of it, fast. The way I heard it, in 15 minutes nobody had better be around this can. If you want to take care of it for us, be our guests. Oh, no you don't.
The guard snapped.
We've got better things to do than your busy work.
He looked over the papers, then glanced sourly at the can.
It certainly smells like some sort of failed experiment. And this is Elder Allen's signature.
He handed the paperwork back with an annoyed grunt.
All right, get it out of here. Don't take all night about it, though, or we might just forget who we're supposed to let back in. Yes, sir,
Ryu muttered as he and Sylvia hefted the trash can again, carrying it out down the road. They kept going, conscious of the guard's eyes on them, until they had vanished into a clump of trees.
All right, we're clear.
He told Bao, then swore as he heard a hunting cry.
Damn it, that's a beak. I'll get it.
Sylvia sighed, pulling a slim crossbow from up her sleeve.
Help him out of that thing. If we have to break this to get you out, I'm not gonna be amused,
Ryu growled, removing the can's lid.
Less with the cheap shots, and more with the help, okay.
Bao replied testily.
Hey, wait, what are you doing? Getting you out,
Ryu said, turning the can upside down before lifting it and shaking it. As he had hoped, Bao fell out, landing on his head before tumbling over.
Gee,
his friend muttered, lying in the dirt.
Thanks. No charge.
Ryu threw the can into a ditch.
You okay, Sylvia? I'm fine.
She came back, keeping a wary distance from Bao.
You need a bath. I noticed,
he agreed sourly.
We'll stop by Lake Oria on our way south. All right.
She glanced back at the city.
I'll come up with a story to explain why you're not back yet, Ryu. Thanks.
Ryu smiled.
We owe you for this one. Just get this cleared up, and come back,
she told them quietly.
That's all I want.
She looked at Bao for a moment longer as if she wanted to say something more, then shook her head and walked away.
Shit,
Bao muttered, watching her go.
Shit, 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 shit. Pretty much,
Ryu agreed somberly.
Let's get going, buddy.
The trip was a more subdued one than their previous journey, for obvious reasons, but aside from that it was similar. Once they reached Lake Oria, Bao was able to wash the stench off of himself and his clothes, to Ryu's vast relief. Crossing Mount Fubi, at least, was much less stressful this time, thanks to the absence of harpies and the cleared path. Navigating the mountain with relative ease, they continued on to the ruined city, arriving as the sun began to set like they had before.
Hey, guys.
Nero called from the overgrown porch. Outside of the building as he saw them approach. He was sitting on the steps, strumming some sort of stringed instrument that was larger than he was.
What you doing back here so soon? I ain't eaten any more pets, don't worry.
He laughed, then winced.
Haven't eaten anything last few days, actually.
Bao and Ryu exchanged a long glance.
I'll go hunt some more food down in a while,
Bao told him.
First, though, we need to talk about something. The old man's still feeling chatty. How droll,
the statue of Laden replied dryly.
I take it you've both been busy. Oh, you have no idea.
Ryu rolled his eyes.
Listen to this story.
Sitting down next to them, they explained the events of the disastrous night.
So what you're saying is, you want to move in?
Nero asked slowly once they were done.
Well, alright, but you'll be sleeping on the floor.
He glanced back at the building.
Actually, you came at a perfect time. This old place is starting to fall apart, so I was thinking it was time I started doing some renovations. Else we won't have no building left to hide out in.
On cue, the roof collapsed.
That's gonna suck to fix,
Nero commented, unfazed.
No kidding.
Bao stared at the building with a visible lack of enthusiasm.
Exactly how much work were you planning on doing? Oh, about as much as it'd make it worth it not to turn you in,
Nero joked, cackling.
Kiddin'. Now don't go wimping out on me, son. You're young and strong. If I can do this stuff, you ain't got no excuse for not keeping up. Sides, what else are you gonna do while you wait for Ryu to clear your name? Shame he can stay and help us out, but lookin' for that thief's gotta come first. He's useless at this sort of thing anyways.
Bao shrugged.
We hired on with some builders for a few months once. I ain't exactly a professional, but I learned enough to get by, back then. Ryu eventually just wound up getting the drinks and sweeping up, though.
Ryu gave him a flat look, but didn't comment.
Well then, you and me working together, we'll get this place off the ground in no time.
Nero patted the side of the building.
Old year's been neglected, but the foundation's good. It ain't too late to put it back together again. Hell, you boys can even stay here permanent like if you want, once it's all finished. Least I can do for you. Hey, there's a thought.
Bao perked up suddenly, looking over the building with a different eye.
How many people do you think could have lived in this, back when it was brand new? A good dozen, at least.
Nero shrugged.
Gonna take a hell of a lot more work if we want to go that far, though. You got that many friends looking for somewhere to crash? Not yet.
Bao grinned suddenly.
We might soon, though. I get it.
Ryu smiled as well, looking at the building.
It's like this, Nero. We've been wanting to start up our own group of adventurers for hire, but we need a lot of things before we can get it off the ground. One of those things is a base. And you figure this old ruin is looking like prime real estate, hey?
Nero's eyes narrowed thoughtfully.
Adventurers, eh? By that, I take it you mean mercenaries. I'm a bit old for running around like that, boys. We'd need somebody to watch the place while we were out on jobs, actually,
Bao explained.
Standard practice. Equal shares.
The old man asked shrewdly.
Of course,
Ryu agreed as Bao winced.
Done, then.
Nero spat on his hand and held it out, and after a moment, Bao did the same, shaking it.
You've got your first recruit, boys. Now we've got some real motivation to fix this place up. Never thought this would be how we'd be starting up.
Bao shook his head.
Guess there's one good thing coming out of this mess. No kidding,
Ryu agreed.
It's not much, but it's a start. As soon as we get Bo's name cleared, we can start looking for more guys. How many were you figuring on bringing in?
Nero asked, scratching his head.
Ideally.
Bao began counting them off on his fingers as he spoke, starting from 3.
Another tough guy to take the front line with Ryu. Another white mage to help me keep everybody in one piece. A good knife man. At least one, preferably 2, black mages. And a couple jacks of all trades to balance it all out. So, 10 guys total.
Nero shrugged.
Should make divvying out the pay easy. Who knows, maybe I'll find some good guys while I'm looking for the thief.
Ryu glanced north.
Elder Allen's message should be arriving soon with any leads they've found. I just hope they've got. Bingo.
They all turned their heads as an aura of blue light appeared in the air inside the building, a piece of paper materializing inside it. The magic faded a moment later, and the message dropped to the ground.
Alright, let's see here.
Bao picked it up and glanced at it.
2 leads so far. Apparently, a reclusive female student at the Orion Magic School has black wings. The other leads over in Corsair, to the northeast. Some girl showed up a few months back and made a name for herself in the Colosseum duels real quick. And she was out of town during the theft. That's the more promising lead, then,
Ryu decided.
Besides, getting into the magic school would be a pain in the ass. I'm off to Corsair. With luck, I'll be able to figure out if it's her or not with one glance. A girl like that stands out in a crowd, any day,
Nero agreed.
You'll find her, son. Mark my words. Indeed you will,
Lawton said firmly.
This mishap is only a beginning. I foresee a great adventure in your future, boys. Just as long as we get paid,
Ryu joked, watching the sun creep towards the horizon. Why should I worry?